Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. Today is November 4, 2022, and this is your Friday Planning Update. Like last week, I want to bring you some planning ideas that come from this past week of client meetings and discussion. The truth is, we've been having these discussions for the nearly 30 years I've been doing this, and the history of the market well beyond that, one of my reading and study interests, the history of the market, those conversations keep coming back over and over again. So yes, I'm referring to discussions in a down market. Excuse me. You've heard me say that if you're under the age of 40, you probably don't know that stocks can go down until this past year. Those of you who have been doing it longer than the past 10 to 12 years know that down markets do occur. I've spoken about this a lot over the past few months, about the frequency of the 5 to 10% and even 20% drops in the markets. We've even spoken about bear market statistics in the past few months. What I want to discuss today is not what is happening. We've gone into that, and we'll keep talking about that, especially on the Monday market updates. We've all heard the famous quote attributed to Charles R. Swindoll: life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. This is what I want to talk about in the next few minutes. A quick note on what I'm not going to tell you in the next few minutes. I will not tell you where the market's going. Not my opinion, not IHT's opinion, LPL's opinion, Goldman Sachs, or JP Morgan. As I mentioned last week, these macro calls, I'm happy to share with you one-on-one, so call me if you want to discuss. Okay, what I will talk to you about is how we react to what happens to us. I'll start by telling you that this is not a one-off event. Yes, we've not had a pandemic like COVID for 100 years, and yes, we've not had inflation this high in 40 years, and finally, yes, we've not had war like this in Europe for 70 or 80 years. But we have had the Russian financial crisis in '98, we've had large-scale default of a major California county, Orange County, and the fallout in the tax-free bond market in '94. We've had a bursting of the dot-com bubble in 2000, and of course we had the 9/11 attacks on World Trade Center and the Pentagon in 2001, war in Iraq in 2003, housing crash in 2007, you get the picture. I'm not downplaying what we have going on right now. As much as so many of us want to believe that we do remember the feeling in 2000 when the dot-com bubble burst, most of us cannot. Recency bias is a real thing, and so much of that is going on now in the other direction. We've had over 10 years of zero interest rate that have fueled the rise and fall of these markets. And what I want to acknowledge is that there are reasons to be anxious. I agree with you. According to a Psychology Today article in 2018, the pain of losing money is about twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining it. Because of this, many people take times like this to try to make their portfolios safer and lower risk at the expense of possible returns. You know the actions: sell and hold in cash. Again, these are one-on-one conversations we should have. I'm not saying that one or another of these actions are right or wrong. You may recall when we first started working together, I told you that the key to your financial plan is your goals. I told you then, and I tell you now, we must always focus on those goals. Once we have a handle on those goals, we then develop a plan to reach those goals. This plan includes a level of risk, a level of income if necessary, and a time horizon. What we are seeing now is a change in these things. Please, this is not the time to lose our grip on those tenets of the practice that we run. I do not subscribe to the often quoted, if you can keep your head about you when everyone else is losing theirs, it is very probable that you don't understand the situation. I don't buy that. We need to keep our heads about us. What I am recommending is that we have these discussions. We're in the middle of the real life stress test. We've run simulations on our model portfolios and our investments, and we've talked about what the risks are to all the investment plans. Nothing beats the real thing. I ask you one final question for today. If you work in an office building or attend a school and they've had a fire drill, or in these days in 2022, an active shooter drill, as you know, and when you know it's a drill, you're probably annoyed. Have you ever had one of those, God forbid, following a sound of gunshots or while you smell smoke? The feeling is much different. It also changes your action, at least for a day or two, sometimes much longer. We are in the real stress test. Talking about it as we have for as long as we've been doing this, but nothing is like the real thing. What can we do about this? I've been talking about Q4 actions for the past few weeks. Yes, we'll do all of those that apply, but let me ask you, please. I feel that the most important action we can take is to have the conversation and revisit during the real stress test what your goals and risk tolerance and time horizon are. As you can imagine, I'm talking to many people every day. Some want to sell, some want to buy, but one way or another, we must keep our heads about us. Keep things in perspective and focus on doing all that we can to reach your goals. Finally, remember the U.S. has had 26 bear markets since 1929. Our record as of now for recovery, 26 for 26. Not too bad. Let's keep talking and focusing on your goals. With that in some perspective, we'll have a much better chance at success, whatever that means for you. Please keep in touch. Watch for Monday's market update. Have a great weekend.